Timor-Leste sai uma nain ba komferensia internasional ba komunidade luzu aziatiku.
Sexta-feira, o presidente da República será exorta oficialmente a abertura da conferência Comunidade Luso Asiático Badalahat, onde é tema Unidos, Diversidade e Desafio. Na oportunidade, os delegados circular Sira, nebe realiza e centro convenções dele. Presidente da República será exorta, a agradece para parceiro Sira Roto, nebe baka husi com o tempo onde participa da conferência, né? No arnesa ondra bot ida para Timor-Leste, tamarnesa uma nain, onde ele reflete o passado, ato celebra a diversidade patrimônio nian.
Dear friends from across our shared lusophone heritage, it is a joy to open this fourth Asian Portuguese Community Conference here in Delhi. To welcome fellow lusophone communities from across Asia gives me a great sense of happiness. Thank you all for making the journey. You have come from the shores of Malacca and Macau, from the parishes of Bangkok, from the valleys of Myanmar and the hills of Goa, from Jakarta and Flores, from Sri Lanka and beyond. Each of you carries a piece of a shared history, a thread in the fabric that stretches across the Indian Ocean, across centuries and across cultures. This conference is more than a gathering. We are bringing a family together. It is a moment to reflect on our shared history, to strengthen our bonds of solidarity, and to tell our stories with pride and with honesty as we look together towards a future built on friendship, respect, and renewal. Our shared story begins on the sea. In the 16th century, brave and curious men from a small country on the edge of Europe looked to the ocean. They launched small sailing ships, the caravellas, into the unknown, guided by the stars and a thirst for discovery. As Luis de Camões wrote in Os Lusíadas, they were moved by valor and arms and the mind's adventurous will. They sailed not only for spices and trade, but with a belief, both noble and naive, that the world could be mapped and known. Their journey was physical but also spiritual. They carried with them not only weapons but words. They brought faith and fear, violence and vision. They made the world smaller but also larger. And in their wake, they left behind a new language, a new God, and emerging nations. In doing so, they reshaped the world. The Portuguese left a mark on Asia that time had not erased. Our communities are all proof of this undeniable truth. The result is something that endures, the birth of communities that are both European and Asian, resilient communities that have shaped the countries in which they live. We understand that while this heritage is complex, it is meaningful. In Timor-Leste, the Portuguese arrival changed everything. We were once a land of kingdoms. We shared a land and a culture, but we had no sense of national identity. It was the Portuguese and the broader European experience that introduced to us the idea of the modern nation state. Today we speak of national sovereignty and independence as if they were eternal truths, but they are in fact the legacy of an idea carried by history and transformed by struggle. And it was this idea that forged our people with a sense of unity and national identity. And so, when our country was occupied and the time came to fight for independence, it was our history that gave our struggle its strength, the strength of common purpose, of shared language, and of unbreakable unity. It also gave the foundation to make our case to the world, to make our diplomatic argument for self-determination. It allowed us to speak with one voice, to articulate a legal and moral claim, and to engage with international law and the rights it protects to people. And this was made possible because we stood on foundations laid centuries ago. But friends, We are not only connected to Portugal, we are connected to each other. The Portuguese administer their Asian territories with a sense of interconnectedness. Cultural, administrative and religious ties flow between Goa and Malacca, between Florida and Sri Lanka. For a time, Timor was even administered by the governor of Macau. The church also played a central role in this web of connection. It brought not only faith but also formal education, writing, and spiritual discipline. In our time of resistance, the church stood with us. It offered sanctuary, gave meaning to our suffering. In moments of despair, it held out hope. For many Timorese and for many across our lusophone community in Asia, the church was not just a spiritual refuge, but a guardian of culture, memory, and moral clarity. These shared histories are not just to be remembered, they shape who we are today. Across Asia, Portuguese descendant communities have survived wars, famines, migration, and political evil. They adapted and endured. They safeguarded traditions, stories, rituals, and unique cuisines. Their survival is an act of defiance against forgetting. And yet, they are often invisible in national narrative, forgotten by textbooks and histories, treated as curiosities rather than as contributors to the richness of the nations in which they live. That is why it matters so much to come together. You are here not just to remember, but to reimagine, to agree on a shared path forward. We must value shared bonds, not as nostalgia, but as a foundation to resist the erosion of culture, the loss of stories, and the slow drift of communities. This conference gives you the space to reflect on the past and to celebrate the richness and diversity of the heritage represented by participants from across Asia.
Konferensia Komunidade Luzu Aziatiku Badalahat hal libur cidadão portugueses nebe namkari e luzu asiático, onde refleta a história passada Siram. Participa em a Conferência Comunidade Luzu Asiático Badalahat e Timor-Leste vai na que importante ser a nação Sia, inclui liderança Timor-Lesteniana Hanessan, Presidente da República José Ramos Horta, Primeiro-Ministro Kairala Sanan Guzmão, Presidente do Parlamento Nacional Fernanda Lai, membro do Governo, Parlamento, parceiro internacional Sira, inclui convidado Sira. Enquanto a Conferência Internacional se realiza durante Lorong Hat, Husi Lorong Ronulu Rasen Hitu, to Lorong Tolunolo. Reportagem Domingos Amaral, TVE.
Liga ba Maluxira, Liga ba Itaniarrai, Liga ba Mundo. Timor Telecom e da Roto na ligação.